Hello friends, what is system of biological classification? In the previous sessions, we spoke about taxonomy, we also spoke about the binomial nomenclature and so on. In these sessions, we will be speaking about that how the systematics or taxonomy is actually being done for the angiospermic plants. So you see, there are three types of classification, or the three types of biological classification has been recognized, what we call artificial, natural and phylogenetic. So what is artificial, what is natural, what is phylogenetic, we will discuss about that, and we will also discuss that what are the name of the scientists who actually proposed them. So first of all, let's talk about the artificial. Now why we call them artificial? Very simple. We are calling them artificial because it is based on one or few characters only, right? So that's why we call them such classification as an artificial, okay? And it is an ancient one. Aristotle also done some sort of classification. But the base of classifying the species for Aristotle was just one few characters, okay? And they were not correlated. So that's why we call them artificial. Okay, even the classification done by Linnaeus, that also belongs to the artificial one, right? Now, let's talk about the second one. The second, what we call it is the natural one. Okay. Now, what is the natural? In case of natural, what happens? That is based on the natural affinities of the reproductive part, primarily the female part. Okay, on that particular part, on that particular similarities or dissimilarities, the classification has been actually done. Okay. So the most important natural classification is the one that is proposed by Bentham and Hooker. Mind it, even in India, we used to follow the Bentham and Hooker system of classification. Here, I would also like to tell you that you see, in the entire world, there are primarily two systems. One, the phylogenetic system, and second, the natural system. In the entire Commonwealth countries, including India, we follow the natural system. Okay, but in United States, Canada, and in these countries, actually the phylogenetic system is actually being followed. Why? Simple, it's a convention. Okay, so let's talk about that. What are the main points of Bentham and Hooker system of classification? Okay, so they altogether describes 202 families, out of it 165 were dicot, 3 gymnosperms and 34 monocots. So these were the families that were identified and classified by them. Okay. They divided seed plants into 3 groups, right? What are they? They were dicot, then gymnosperm and monocot. Okay. Even in case of dicot, what they have done? They have identified the polypetally, the gamopetally, right? And there is one more, what we call monoclomide. Now, what is monoclomide? Monoclomide is a one in which, we cannot differentiate between petal and sepal. These are the things that is actually kept in the monoclomide, right? Then we have a gymnosperms. Okay, you see, the problem with this particular system is the placement of gymnosperm between dicot and monocot, which is one of the drawback of Bentham and Hooker system. Okay, and then we have a monocots, right? So this is how the Bentham and Hooker system is actually placed. So once again, 3 groups, one, the dicot, gymnosperm and monocot. These 3 is actually being recognized, right? Now let's talk about the drawbacks. You see, in competitive examination, it is often asked that what are the drawbacks of the Bentham and Hooker system of classifications? The first drawback, as I told you, that gymnosperm is actually placed in between the monocot and dicot. That was the first and foremost drawback. Okay. Secondly, there is no evolutionary relation. So they were not talking about any evolutionary relation between the two groups. Okay, which is very, very relevant for the classifications. Unfortunately, this is actually not being discussed. Okay, and one more, that is monoclomide. Right, monoclomide as a subclass which doesn't go with the modern our knowledge. Okay, so these are the 3 main drawbacks what we see in case of Bentham and Hooker system of classifications. Right. Let's come to the last one, that is called phylogenetic. Now, what is phylogenetic? in case of phylogeny, what happens? Such classification is based on the evolutionary relation between the different species, right? So this is what we call phylogeny. And different workers have given their own system of phylogenetic classifications, right? And the most popular among the phylogenetic classification were the Hutchinson's classifications, right? In addition to that, we have Tippo, right? Oswald and Tippo, right? They also have given the phylogenetic classification. It is often asked that which classification is based on phylogeny and which classification is actually based on the natural system of classifications, right? Engler and Prendtl, that is also based on the phylogenetic system of classification. Okay. So here you can see there that the classification of Engler and Prendtl is actually being shown over there, right? What you can see there? Angiosperm divided into gymnosperm and angiosperms, or what we can say embryophyta can be divided into gymnosperm and angiosperm, which is quite correct one based on the evolutionary things. Then angiosperm is divided into what we call monocot and dicot, and the dicot is actually divided into what we call achlamydi and monoclamydi. That is the basis of classification of, that is what we call the Engler and Prendtl. But among them, perhaps the most acceptable one is the Hutchinson's classification. In case of Hutchinson's, what you see that they have also divided into angiosperm into dicot and monocot, and they have kept gymnosperm separate from there, right? So as far as the angiosperm is concerned, they have identified two groups. One is a dicot, second is a monocot, right? In case of dicot, what you see, the two groups has been recognized. One, the woody plants, and second, the herbaceous plant. Okay, so the woody plants are identified by Ligonaceae and herbaceous plant by Herbaceae, right? So this is how the classification is actually being done in case of Hutchinson system of classifications, right? Before I conclude, I would like to discuss one more thing with you, and that is, what are the primitive family, what are the advanced family, which is often asked. Okay, so there are two groups. One, in case of dicot, we have a woody and herbaceous, and in case of monocot, of course, they are only herbs only. So as far as woody is concerned, the most primitive woody family is a Magnoliaceae. The most advanced woody family is a Verbenaceae, in which the teak plant is there. The most primitive herbaceous family is a Ranunculaceae. The most advanced herbaceous dicot family is a Compositae. And as far as the monocot is concerned, the most primitive family is the Orchidaceae, and the most advanced family is the Poaceae, right? So that is often asked in any competitive examinations. Okay, so I'm just leaving all of you with this mind map. Thank you.